Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel Mathematicals Mani 3226. In this particular video, we are going to cover questions of complex number. This is a topic from class 12. So in this particular video, I have basically brought some MCQs questions, multiple choice questions, and of course single choice question as well. So yes, let's start with the first question. So these questions are extremely important. I have collected all these questions, because these questions I found very important. So at least you should know these basic questions of complex number. If you want to understand complex number in detail, I have made a detailed video as well. So I'm going to put the link of that particular video in the description box. You can watch that video as well. Okay, so let's start with the first question. So the question is root over minus 100, and we have four options: minus 10i, 10i, plus minus 10, plus minus 10i. Let's understand how do we solve this. So the very first thing that we can use the property of a square root, and that is minus 100 I can write down as minus 1 into 100 as well. So why? Because we know that if we have root over AB, that is same as root over A into B, and that will be same as root over A into root over B. Okay. Now this we can write down as root over minus 1 into root over 10. Now this root over 100, root over 100. Root over 100, you know that what is the answer of root over 100? The answer of root over 100 is plus minus 10, right? What is the answer of this root over minus 1? Okay, this is nothing but it is called iota, imaginary number. So I is nothing but root over minus 1. So we can simply write down here I, and this is our plus minus 10. So what is this? This is plus minus 10, I only. Right? So therefore, what is the answer? The answer is option D, plus minus 10i. Okay, now we can move to the next question. Okay, 1 second. So the next question is, yes. Okay, so we have to find out the value of I raised to 7. So in this particular question, we do not have any option. We just need to simplify this. So let me tell you that I is root over minus 1, right? We know that. I square, what will be I square? Whatever is the value of I, that is root over minus 1, we have a square on that. So what is this? Square and root will get cancelled, so it is minus 1. So the value of I square is minus 1. What is the value of I cube? The value of I cube will be, can I not write down I squared times I? Or if I just write down this in detail, I can write down 3 as 2 plus 1, I raised to 2 plus 1. Now, using the property of exponent, this will become I raised to 2 times I raised to 1. What is I raised to 2? It is minus 1, so it will become minus 1, and I as it is, because I raised to 1 is I only, and that is minus I. So the value of I cube is minus I. So I'll just write down these values, I'll highlight these values. So first is I, that is root over minus 1. Second is I square, that is minus 1. And third is I cube, that is minus I. And we need to find out one last, that is I raised to 4. And then we don't have to find out, I raised to 5, I raised to, because all these values after 4, we can find out by just using these 4 things, that is I square, I cube, and I raised to 4. So I raised to 4, I can write down as I raised to 2 plus 2. Now using the property of exponent, this will become I raised to 2 times I raised to 2. What is I square? I square is minus 1, so it is minus 1 into minus 1. What is minus 1 into minus 1? 1. So therefore, the value of I raised to 4 we have got is 1. So all you need to remember is these 4 values. Okay, so if you want, you can remember. If you want, you can find out every time. So I is root over minus 1, I square is minus 1, I cube is minus I, and I raised to 4 is 1. So I raised to 7. Of course, we can write down I raised to 7 as 4 plus 3, right? Now using the property of exponent, I can write down this as I raised to 4 times I raised to 3, right? Now, I raised to 4. You know the value of I raised to 4 is 1. So it is 1. What is I raised to cube? I raised to 3 or I cube is minus I. So minus I. What is 1 into minus I? 1 into minus I is minus I. That's the answer. Now the next one, that is 1 upon I. We have options given 1 minus I minus 1 I. So we need to simplify this. To simplify this, what I'll do is I'll rationalize it. What is the meaning of rationalization here? Rationalization here is simply I will multiply by the same thing in the numerator as well as denominator. What is 1 into I? I. What is I into I? I square. I we will write down as it is. What is I square? The value of I square is -1. So it is -1, which is same as -I. So therefore, which is the correct option? The correct option is option B, -I. All right, now let's move to the next question. So the next question is 3 plus 4i plus minus 2 plus 5i. This is very simple. We need to simplify this by removing the bracket. So 3 plus 4i as it is. Here plus into minus will become -2, and then plus into plus is plus only, so 5i. Now I can write down this 3 minus 2 together. So 3 minus 2 and then 4i plus 5i together, right? Now 3 minus 2 is of course 1 and 4i plus 5i is 9i. So what is the answer? The answer is 1 plus 9i. This was very simple. So the answer is option C, 1 plus 9i. All right, let's move to the, okay, just a second. Let's move to the next question. And the next question is we have to find out the imaginary part of this particular thing, okay? Let us first understand what is the meaning of imaginary part and the real part. Okay, so for example, we know that complex number has the standard form a plus ib, right? So whatever here you can see, this is called the real part. Okay, and this b, that is the imaginary part. Okay, remember there is a difference between the imaginary part and imaginary number. I is the imaginary number, but b is not the imaginary number. B is a real number only because b is present with I, that is why it is called imaginary part, but the number is real only. So we need to first just find out here the what is the coefficient of I, okay, by simplifying this, right? So we have here 1 plus I, if I remove the bracket, -1, and then of course minus minus is plus I, right? Here this 1 and -1 will get cancelled. So what is I plus I? 2I. Of course, if I want to write down this 2I in the standard form, I have to write down this in the standard form of complex number, that is a plus ib, but a is nothing, so that means 0 plus 2I. Now, of course, what is the imaginary part? The b, which is 2 here. So what is the answer? The answer of imaginary of this particular thing is 2. That is it. All right, let's move to the next question, and that is complex numbers are plotted in dash plane. So the answer for this is going to be simple. Complex numbers are plotted in Cartesian plane. Okay, we all know Cartesian plane, right? We have a diagram like this. I'll show you the diagram. Yes. So if I just draw it here, like very small, you can see this. So we have two lines here, the horizontal like axis that is called, that is what we call as the real axis. Okay, so this horizontal is called the real axis, which is nothing but our, like this one, this part. And the vertical axis here is the imaginary axis. So this is called the imaginary axis. And of course, this is called nothing but the Cartesian plane. So that is why the answer for this question, complex numbers are plotted in Cartesian plane. So that's the answer. The next question is pi I is a real number, a complex number, an irrational number, purely imaginary number. So let me tell you first what is a real number. We all know that real number are like, the numbers that are present on the number line, right? In real number, we have the, like number of the kind rational numbers. And then inside that, we have the number integers. And then inside that, we have whole numbers, the natural numbers, like this, right? Next is the complex number. We know complex number is already a plus ib form. An irrational number is like another set, right? So irrational numbers are all the numbers that are non-terminating and non-repeating, right? And purely imaginary number. Purely imaginary number is a number in which the real part is 0, right? So you can see here this pi I. This pi I, of course, we can write down in the form of 0 plus pi I. And when I'm writing this as 0 plus pi I, that means the real part is 0. And when the real part is 0, that number we can also called as purely imaginary number. So therefore, the correct answer is option D. Let's go to the next part. Next question, that is real part of 1 plus I times I, right? We need to simplify this and we need to find out the real part. That is it. So this is 1 plus I into I. What is 1 into I? Using the distributive property, plus what is I into I? 1 into I is, of course, 1 into I is 1 I, that is same as I only. And I into I is I square. What is I square? We know that the value of I square is -1, so it is -1, which we can also write down as -1 plus I. We have to write down the real part. What is the real part? -1. That's why the answer is -1. That means option A. All right, let's move to the next question. This was our 8th question. Now the next question is the 9th question. We need to find here the additive inverse of 2 plus 4i. Additive inverse of 2 plus 4i is very simple. If you have a plus ib or bi, the additive inverse will be simply a minus ib, right? So here, what is the additive inverse of 2 plus 4i? Simple. Using this, a is c. It is actually 2 plus 4i, where a is 2, b is 4. So it will become 2 minus 4i. It's as simple as that. So the answer is option A, 2 minus 4i. Okay, now we can go to the next question, and that is, what is the multiplicative inverse of I? Okay, first of all, what is the multiplicative inverse of z? That is given by 1 by z, right? So here we need to find out the multiplicative inverse of I. That means we need to find out the value of 1 upon I, right? But of course, you can see here 1 upon I is not the option because we need to simplify this 1 upon I. And how can we simplify this? By doing the rationalization. So 1 upon I times I upon I, right? 1 into I is I into I is I square. We know that I as it is, I square is -1. So it is negative sign and then I. So therefore, what is the answer? The answer is option A, negative I. Okay, let's move to the next question. Again, like these were the 10 multiple questions, multiple choice questions, and now we have the next. So the multiple choice question, we need to simply simplify all these, okay? So the first question is 3 plus 3i plus 8 minus 2i minus 7. Simply we will write down all the real parts together. So 3 plus 8 minus 7 together, and then plus 3i minus 2i together. Of course, 3 plus 8, that is 11, and 11 minus 7, that is 4. And 3i minus 2i is simply I, right? So the answer is 4 plus I. Next question, we have to simplify this. So 4i into -2, right? Using the property of like distributive property, 4i into -2, and then minus, okay, this you can write down in bracket, 4i into 8i, right? So 4i into -2, that is simply minus 8i. Here this is minus as it is, 8 into 4 is 32. I into I is I squared, right? This is minus 8i. This is minus 32. And what is I squared? The value of I squared we all know is -1. So it is -1, right? Now this will become minus 8i minus 32 into -1 is -32. So what will this become? This will simply become minus 8i minus into minus is plus 32, which we can write down as 32 plus minus 8i in the standard form. So therefore, what is the answer of this question? The answer of this question is this. Because we know that the standard form of a complex number is a plus ib or a plus bi, where b is -8. Right? Let's move to the next question. Minus 4i into 5i. So here we will simply write down this as -4 into I into 5 into I, right? I'll write down this -4 into 5 together, and I into I is nothing but I square. What is -4 into 5? -4 into 5 is -20, right? And what is I square? I square is -1. So what is -20 into -1? It is simply 20. And that's the answer. If you want, you can write down this in the standard form of a complex number, that is 20 plus 0i. Okay. Let's move to this one. So in this particular question, 5i into I. Of course, 5i into I will be 5i square, right? And then minus, yeah. And then minus 2i. Okay, okay, all right. Here, see, here do not get confused, okay? Here it simply says 5i into I into minus 2i, okay? So this is also getting multiplied, not getting subtracted. So you can write down like this, 5 into I into minus 2 into I, right? What is 5 into minus 2? Minus 10. What is I into I into I? Using the property of exponents will become I cube, right? So this is minus 10. And what is the value of I cube? We all know the value of I cube is minus I, right? So it will become minus I. How? Again, I cube we can write down as I square into I raised to 1, and I square is minus 1. Minus 1 into I is minus I. All right, minus minus is plus, so 10i. If you want, you can write down this in the standard form, 0 plus 10i. That's the answer. Let's move to the next question. Before I move to the next question, I hope you have understood all these things. So I'm going to erase it so that I'll have the space to solve the rest questions. Okay. Yes. So if you think that you want to write down all these solutions that I am writing here, you can go back to the video and you can take a screenshot or you can write it again. Okay, so we are here on our fifth question, and in the fifth question, we need to simplify this, right? So using the property of, like using the distributive property, first 2 will get multiplied with minus 6 plus 4i. Right? That is what happens, 2 with everything, right? And then minus 4i with again everything, that is minus 6 plus 4i. Now, what is this? I'll just write down here. So 2 into minus 6 is minus 12. 2 into 4i is 8i. Minus into minus is plus. 4 into 6 is 24i. And then minus into plus is minus. 4 into 4 is 16. I into I is I square. This will become minus 12. This is 24i plus 8i, that is 32i. And then here this is minus 16, as it is I square is minus 1. So into minus 1. Now this will simply become minus 12 plus 32i, and then minus into minus is plus, that is 16. What is minus 12 plus 16? Very simple, 4, and this is 4 plus 32. That's the answer. Now let's move to this one, 1 minus 7i whole square. We know that a minus b whole square. A minus b whole square is a square minus 2ab plus b square, right? So the formula is a minus b whole square, that is simply a square plus b square minus 2ab. If you want, you can keep this minus 2ab in the middle as well. So this will become a square, that means 1 square, plus b square, that means 7i whole square, minus 2ab. So minus 2 into a is 1 and b is 7i, right? Okay, 1 square is 1, 7 square is 49, and I square is I square, of course. This will become minus 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 7 is 14i. Now, this will become 1. I square is negative 1. We know that the value of I square is negative 1, so it will become plus 49 into minus 1. And then here minus 49 as it is. Now, what is this? This is 1 plus into minus is minus 49. And then minus 49. So what is 1 minus 49? 1 minus 49 is simply minus 48, right? So this will simply become minus 48 minus 14i. If you want, you can also write down this in the standard form by writing minus 48 plus minus 14 and then I. So it was looking into the form of a plus bi, right? And this is our answer. Okay, so we are done with this. Now we can go to the next question. So the next question is, what is the conjugate of 3 minus 4i? So for example, we have the complex number a plus ib given. So the conjugate of this will be simply given by z bar, and this will become a plus ib bar, right? And here it will simply become a minus ib. That is it. This is how we can find out the complex conjugate. On that note, when we had done a question on additive inverse, I had just changed the sign of the, like in between only, but it is actually going to be minus 2 minus 4i, okay? Because this is not the complex conjugate, this is the additive inverse. In additive inverse, we simply change the sign, okay? So it is 2 plus 4i, so it will become minus 2 minus 4i. So therefore, the correct answer is option D, okay? All right, now let's go to the complex conjugate. In complex conjugate, we only change the sign between the real part and the imaginary part. Okay. So therefore, the conjugate of 3 minus 4i will simply become 3 plus 4i. The complex conjugate of this will be this, and the answer is 3 plus 4. Now, next is I raised to 37. We need to simplify this. This is very simple. It looks like, okay, this is difficult. It has a power 37, but it is very simple. We will simply use the concept of exponent, okay? All right, let me erase this. So I raised to 37. Of course, I can write on 37 as 36 plus 1. Now, using the exponent property, it will become I raised to 36 times I raised to 1. Now, I raised to 36, I can also write down as I raised to 4 times 9, because that is also again using the exponent property. And then I raised to 1 is I only. What is the value of I raised to 4? The value of I raised to 4, we all know, is 1, right? So this will become 1 raised to 9. And then into I, what is 1 raised to 9? 1 raised to 9 is 1 only, and 1 into I is nothing but I. So therefore, the correct answer is option C, I. All right, let's move to the next question. And okay, let's see what is the next question. In the next question, we have to find out the modulus of the complex number, and we have to also state what quadrant the point would land in. Okay, so this is very simple. First, I need to draw the Cartesian plane for that. Okay, this is the Cartesian. Okay, 1 second. Let me change the color here. Okay, all right. Let me redraw this. Okay, yes, now this is perfect. So first we need to find out what is the modulus. So we can also do one thing. We will first find out the modulus only, and then we will find out that in which quadrant the point would lie in. Okay. All right. I'm hoping it will get shifted a little bit on the other side, but it's okay. So first, let us understand how do we find the modulus. Okay, it's very simple. Suppose we have the complex number given, z is equal to x plus iy, right? So the modulus of this z will be given by simply uh, okay, yeah, mod of mod, able to write down, yeah, mod of z will be equal to root over the real part square plus the imaginary part square. That is it. So all right. So using that formula, of course, this will become mod z is equal to, of course, we have the given, like we have given this as minus 3 plus I. That means what is x? X is minus 3, so that is minus 3 square. Plus y. What is y here? Y is nothing, that means it is 1. So that is 1. Now this will become minus 3 square, that is, of course, 9, because minus square will be plus, and then 1 square is 1 only, that is root over 10. So of course, option C and option D, they are incorrect, right? So the correct option is either option A or option B. Let us find out the quadrant. So it is minus 3. You know that this is the real part, right? So where is minus 3? Of course, minus 3 is somewhere here. And then I. Here on the top, we have the positive imaginary parts. At the bottom, we have the negative imaginary parts. So of course, it's the like the positive one. So I will be here. That means the common point will be somewhere here. And that is nothing but the second quadrant. So therefore, the correct option is option E. All right, let's move to the last question. Calculate the value of the modulus of minus 4 plus 3i. We already know how to find the modulus. So simply, we can write down if it is z. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so if it is mod z, it will become root over x square plus y square. What is x here? Minus 4. So minus 4 square plus y, it is 3, so 3 square. Minus 4 square, that means simply 16. And 3 square, that is 9, so this is root over 25. If you simplify root over 25, of course, it will become plus minus 5, right? Yes, so here they have not given 5 and minus 5 together, so we can see that here there are two answers which are correct, that is 5 and minus 5, both. Both are correct. Okay. So that is it for today. In this particular video, we have covered some MCQs questions. I hope you understood all the questions. If you have any doubt in any of the questions, even after explaining all these questions, let me know in the comment section. I'll make a separate video as shorts. So yes, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you super soon in my next video. And yes, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also share it with your friends and families. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.